You know someone like this. Something goes wrong, and no matter what it is, no matter how clearly it traces back to them, it's never their fault. There's always a reason, always a story, always somebody else who should have done something differently. You bring it up carefully because you've learned how to be careful, that you have to be careful, and somehow, by the end of the conversation, you're the one apologizing. You came in with a legitimate complaint, and you leave holding the bag again. And you walk away thinking, how does someone go through life like this? How do you never, not once, just look at a thing you did and say, yeah, that was me? So let's actually talk about what's going on there, because it's stranger than it looks. And it's probably not what you think. We tend to assume that a person who won't take responsibility is choosing not to. That somewhere in there, they know they're wrong, and they're just too proud, or too stubborn, or too dishonest to admit it. We treat it like a character flaw, like they've got the truth sitting right in front of them, and they're refusing to pick it up. But watch these people closely, and something doesn't add up. They're not smirking. They're not getting away with something and enjoying it. A lot of the time, they genuinely seem to believe the version of events where they didn't do anything wrong. The reasons come too fast to be invented. The story seems to be ready before you've even finished talking. That's the tell. Because inventing an excuse takes effort. You have to know the truth and then build something over the top of it. And that's not what's happening here. The excuse isn't being built. It's already there. It arrives fully formed because for this person, it isn't an excuse at all. It's just what happened. That's the reality they're actually living in. So the question isn't, why won't they admit it? The question is more like, why can't they see it? And to answer that, you have to look at what admitting fault actually costs, not out in the world, but on the inside. Now, for most of us, being wrong is uncomfortable. Yes, it stings, but we can hold it. I did that. That was a bad call. I hurt somebody. That's on me. It's not pleasant, but we can pick it up, look at it, and set it back down. And we're still basically okay. We're still us. The mistake is a thing we did. It doesn't reach all the way down to who we are. But that ability, that's not automatic. That's a structure. It's something that has to be built and held in place. And for some people, it was never fully built. And when it's not there, being at fault doesn't feel like, oh, I made a mistake. It feels like there's something wrong with me. There's no gap between the two. The bad thing you did and the bad thing you are, they collapse into each other. It's all one. So imagine living like that. Imagine that every time you're at fault, even a little, the floor drops out. Not a passing, I did a bad thing, but something total. I am the problem. I'm the one who ruins things. That's not a feeling you sit with. That's a feeling you have to survive. So the excuses aren't there to fool you. They're there to keep that person standing. It wasn't me. You're overreacting. Well, if you hadn't, that's somebody holding themselves together the only way they know how. The story isn't aimed at you personally, even though it lands on you. It's a wall, and it's holding up the ceiling over their own head. That's why it doesn't work when you push harder. You bring more evidence, you get more precise. You really nail down that it was them, and they don't cave. They dig in. Because to you, you're just clarifying the facts. To them, you're pulling out the one beam holding up the whole house. Of course they fight you. You'd fight too. Once you see it that way, a lot of the mystery goes out of it. It isn't that they don't care. It's that they can't afford to look. There's no version of them that gets to be at fault and be okay at the same time. So the fault has to land somewhere else. It has to. Now, none of this means you have to stand there and take it. Understanding why someone can't own their part doesn't make their part any less real. You can see exactly why the wall is still there and still decide you're not going to keep living underneath it. Compassion and boundaries can sit side by side. You're allowed to hold both. Now, it would be easy to leave this with them, but it doesn't stop with them. Because this thing I'm describing, where being wrong feels like too much to hold, so it has to become someone else's fault, that isn't a rare defect that only a few broken people have. It's a human structure. We've all got some version of it. There's some corner of your life, some particular kind of mistake, where you can't quite look at it straight either. Where the story assembles itself a little too fast. Where you're sure, absolutely sure, that this time it really was them, not you. The person who can never take responsibility is just showing you, turned all the way up, something that runs quietly in all of us. The only real difference is the size of the thing you can afford to see. And that's the question underneath all of it. Not why are they like that, but the harder one. Where's the place I can't look yet? And what would I have to be able to hold about myself before I could pick it up honestly? Taking responsibility was never really about being good or being humble. It's about whether you've built a self that's steady enough to be wrong and survive it. That's the whole thing. That's what's actually being protected.